Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Coach Andrew Kurzawski, Assistant Women's Basketball Coach and Recruiting Coordinator at Point Park University. And we are going to do a new kind of series. We're going to call it Inside Point Park Women's Basketball. We're going to start off by interviewing and getting some information about our incoming class. So to my knowledge, I think, Tanner, you were definitely, I have here with us Tanner Hoffer, who is one of our incoming freshmen. She plays kind of a combo position, I would say. She can play a little bit of guard, a little bit of forward, probably a natural small forward is how we see her fitting in with us. But that being said, I would say, Tanner, you're probably one of the first girls in this incoming class. You'll be graduating in 2024 from college, but we call it our 2020 recruiting class, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I was actually one of the first ones to come, commit and everything like that. I think Jackie committed a little bit before me, but she and I are kind of the first two, and everyone else kind of trickled along. And now we've started a group chat all together, actually called Promless Pioneers, because sadly the 2020 class gets no prom this year. But I think so far we've kind of meshed well together, and I think we're going to have a strong freshman class next season.
Yeah, I do too. Tell people a little bit about your road to Point Park and kind of how all that came to fruition, and then I'll kind of tell you if you're on the same track, because obviously I know how you got to Point Park.
Well, I actually was at a showcase. My best friend and I, we went to this showcase. Hall of Fame Huddle runs all these showcases, and we actually joked with our AAU coach.
Fantastic
that
job.
Day.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. We had joked with our AAU coach that day. We were like, oh, no, we're actually not going. We're going to drive somewhere else, because neither of us, it was so early in the morning, but we both, trekked out there, and I hadn't really talked to many coaches there or anything. I just went, did what I needed to do while I was there. And then the next day, Coach K contacted me on Twitter, and I was like, this is interesting. And I kind of thought it was funny because he mentioned, college recruitment and stuff like that as college shopping. And I don't know, that stuck with me, recruiting-wise. And then we set up a visit. And as soon as I came onto campus, it was, not your ordinary college campus, which is something that really stuck with me. I like the fact that it was all city, and I like the fact that everything is just probably a block down instead of walking all the way across campus for something as a traditional college campus would be.
Yeah, and for those of you who are wondering, when she says Coach K, she's talking about me. So just to clarify that. But I definitely, like I said, I think Coach Rich, his events are fantastic. For us, we've gotten much more into doing events like that. And one of the reasons is you guys are kind of forced to play with girls you've never played with. There's no set plays or anything. It's kind of show up and, show what you got. And one of the things that I kind of picked up on immediately from that event, you didn't blow me away with okay, she's dropping 20 points every game. But you were a girl that was out there defending every single possession, getting rebounds, going up against some Division I caliber kids, and having the courage to go down there and bang with them. And those are intangibles, I think, that a lot of college coaches look for. But kids get caught up so much on, well, I got to be the high scorer. If you have 5, 6, 7 kids that are all high scorers on their team, well, who plays defense? Who rebounds?
Yeah, definitely. Throughout my high school career, scoring was a frustration for me in some points, because I definitely had games where every single time I shoot the ball, it would literally just go in and right back out. And I kind of had to fix my thought about that and just come to terms with the fact that I'm not going to have the best offensive game all the time, but I know for a fact that I can pick my slack up on defense. I can pick my slack up rebounding, steals, assists. It doesn't always have to be points. And I think a lot of high school students get caught up in stats that are in the newspapers that everyone's looking at online, where that's not everything that counts.
Mhm.
I know I didn't get recruited entirely for my offense. My defense and my rebounding is how I proved that I belonged on a college campus.
Yeah, I mean, and that being said, I mean, uh, Tanner went to Columbiana. Well, didn't go to Columbiana, but she's from Columbiana, Ohio. She played for a school called Crestview High School, which is I always thought it's kind of interesting because you guys are, I guess, you're location-wise, you're in Columbiana, and there is a Columbiana High School. In fact, one of our just graduated seniors, Bailey Mook, was a standout player at Columbiana High School. But you're from that part of Ohio, right over the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. Tell us a little bit about your senior year. You guys had a spectacular senior year, and I know you were talking about some of your offensive frustrations, but obviously that wasn't a factor this year for you as a senior.
The beginning of senior year was a little off. You were at the game. I sprained my ankle, and that kind of set me back a little bit. It put me in my head a lot of different times throughout the season. But, my teammates really helped me, get out of that. This team that I had this year was probably, the closest we've ever been, and it's the farthest we've been in tournaments since 2006 or 7, I want to say. We made it to district finals. Sadly, we lost in district finals. But we'd be in district semis, the team that we have wanted to be since my sophomore, junior year. We played them 4 or 5 times. We never won. It's always come super close. Liberty, they're a very strong team. And we finally, we all kicked it into high gear and just, the best game of basketball we have ever played in our lives just to beat that team. And I think that was probably one of my favorite memories of last season. But, overall, we had an awesome record and just an awesome tournament run together.
Yeah, I actually got to see you guys play Liberty, and Liberty extremely well coached, and really, really good athletes there. She does a fantastic job with their program. I can imagine kind of getting over that hurdle, especially, in a playoff caliber atmosphere. That you can't ask for really a better time to do it for you guys, kind of getting over that hurdle.
Exactly. The second to last time we played them, I think we ended up losing by 4, and it was probably one of the last games of the season. And at the end of the game, and overall, it was a very frustrating time because we had come so close, yet we were so far. But I just kept telling everyone, I was like, it's just going to be a better win in tournaments. Everything's going to feel so much better when we finally beat them in tournaments. And that's what we did.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you knew about Point Park University in regards to not specifically our program, but what did you know about the NAIA before we started recruiting you, and kind of, tell us a little bit about your own NAIA journey to Point Park, because one of my passions now as a college coach, I've gotten an opportunity to coach in the NCAA, in the USCAA, and the NAIA. And I've been very passionate about, educating people about the different levels of college basketball and how every single level has phenomenal players. But yet so many different levels are kind of disrespected or not really well understood because kids don't get out to games and see how good these players are. So if you could kind of tell us a little bit about your journey to Point Park and your understanding of the NAIA and how that's kind of expanded, that would be fantastic.
I did not think much about recruiting overall basketball-wise until I want to say towards the end of my junior year, starting AAU season. So I had just started to become familiar with the different divisions and the different leagues and everything like that. And once I finally, once colleges started reaching out to me, there were a lot of NCAA D3, and Coach Eric Bailey, he wanted to help me with everything. He was explaining to me NCAA, they can't offer you any athletic scholarships. And then he went on, he was like, well, NAIA, they're severely underrated for everything because they have competition, but you can also get scholarships there. And And that is like one thing that kind of piqued my mind, but I never had any colleges reach out to me from NAIA until you guys did. And when you guys did, I looked further into it, and I never realized how competitive NAIA was until I actually came to a game. I forget who you guys were playing when I came, but I want to say it was Carlo. I don't remember exactly, but it was a great game to watch. I mean, I was so involved the entire time. Like, I was sitting on the edge of my seat because it was just so intense and competitive. And I don't think people understand that, like, NCAA is not the only competitive league out there. And
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, and that's obviously no knock on the NCAA. I mean, they do a fantastic job with their marketing. They do a fantastic job with the NCAA March Madness tournament. But in regards to like our roster, almost every single girl on our team, particularly our top 7 or 8 players, were all between either an NAIA school like ours or an NCAA Division II team, with scholarship offers on the table. So, I think a lot of times, the NAIA has kind of got treated as like, the redheaded stepchild, so to speak. And people don't realize, like, I would say last year, we probably had a good 12 former Division I transfers in our league last year. And, really, really high caliber basketball players. And I think you hit the nail on the head. When you actually get to come down and see one of the games, we actually have a friend of mine who I won't mention is a Division I coach, and came to one of our games last year. And he said immediately afterwards, he said, "We're not going to be scheduling you or Ohio Christian anytime soon." And I think that spoke very highly of what he thought about that level of basketball. So I'm glad you kind of picked up on that and latched on in terms of saying, well, this is a place I really could see myself being challenged and playing a high level basketball.
in the end of the day, like, NAIA is all resolving to one division next year, like you told me. And at that point, any athlete that's focused on what division they are, I'm a Division I athlete. Whether people like it or not, if I'm in NCAA or NAIA, like, that's just how it is. And I think recruits are becoming so caught up in divisions that they're not looking for their right fit academically and athletically. And I think they're so caught up in, oh, this school's Division I, they can give me a higher scholarship. Well, no, they can't if they don't want you, if it doesn't fit you.
Yeah, I think across the board, there NCAA Division III programs, some of which can give fantastic scholarship or grant money is really the way they say it. But there's great scholarship packages, grant packages, athletic packages across the board at all different levels. So a lot of it comes down, I always say, you use the old term, find your fit. What is the major that fits you? What is the campus life? For us at Point Park, we have one of the best internship programs probably in the country because of our location. So a lot of girls are really, really attracted to that. And we've been able to get a lot of girls, in the job market and exposed to great companies, Fortune 500 companies, even before they're ready to graduate. So that's really, really worked well for us. Not to mention, we have played and competed with a number of Division I schools and have played and competed and beat a number of Division II NCAA schools. So it's not that you're not playing those high-level schools when you come to an NAIA institution. In fact, a lot of times, we have a tough time getting some of these schools to play us because they know it's a high level of basketball. So yeah, I'm really happy you've kind of picked up on that. So tell us a little bit about what you're majoring in and really why academically Point Park fits you.
Well, I would like to become an actuary, and they do a lot of like risk analyst stuff with finance, a lot with insurance companies and stuff like that. It's a lot of math, and I chose Point Park, well, one, because like their economics and finance and everything that I need is right there, and it's kind of like molded into the same degree. So it's not like I'm having to jump between like majors and minors and everything. But also internships. That is one thing that's going to be crucial for me with my job as I graduate and like I look at my resume, like I need internships and everything like that. And actually after I did the interview with my commitment and everything like that, Coach Bailey, of course, knows everyone everywhere. He said, hey, this senior financial analyst at PNC is interested in giving you an internship the summer after your freshman year already.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't looked anywhere, but like it just right there already. And I was really grateful for that opportunity already because it's going to help me tremendously in the future.
Yeah. And I think, I've been a college professor. I still teach on and off when I have the time to do it. And I'm always kind of amazed by, different majors that our young women pick. I didn't know what an actuary was until you explained it to me, because it's not something that, in my career field that I come across. But I've kind of always loved that about this. To be my third year down at Point Park. We have some unbelievably intelligent young women in our program. I want to say last year, our team GPA was probably over a 3.65 or something like that, with a number of girls that, they're not studying general studies or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but these girls are studying pre-med, finance, teaching, different things like that. Did you kind of pick up on how serious some of these young women, your future, well, now your new teammates were about their academic endeavors when you kind of got to meet some of the girls?
I've met a few of them so far, and I know I'm like acquaintance with Tessa Liggett, and I knew she was smart already. Like, so once you said like the first phone call that you had recruiting wise with me, you're like, we recruit geniuses, and I was like, well, it's time to step up my education here too, because
well, I don't think you're slacking, considering I think you were pretty, if not already, but I'm pretty sure you were in the running for valedictorian. So I don't think that was.
I am valedictorian actually.
That's awesome.
Class. But it's definitely something I pride myself on academically, and I know that all of the girls on my team pride themselves on their academics too. It's important to keep your grades up, especially if you have academic scholarships and stuff like that, and I know that they're doing that right now.
Yeah, and I think for us, we want to recruit people that are more than just basketball players. So when you recruit high caliber young women, everybody wins. Everybody's going to be challenging each other to be better students, better basketball players, better people. And I think long term, a lot of the people that you're going to school with now are, going to be the future leaders of tomorrow because of the emphasis they have on their education. And you guys kind of working together and rubbing elbows together now is only going to benefit you down the road when you need, somebody needs an actuary, or, you need to find a good doctor. Hey, I call one of my former teammates to be able to help me out there. And I think that's a huge dynamic Coach Grenick and myself have tried to really, focus on with our program.
Yeah, another thing with if you if you recruit like academically motivated players, I know a lot of schools do like study tables where you're supposed to go and like study for like 2 hours, like a certain amount of time throughout the week and stuff like that. But like that's not how I personally can learn. And I know that was one of the first things you mentioned to me, like there's no study tables, like it's your own motivation to get your work done. And it's obviously worked well. If you have a 3.6 GPA last season with no study tables, you just have motivated athletes.
Yeah, our perspective has always been, if you need the help, we're going to get you help. Day off, get you a tutor, whatever you need. But when you come to college, I mean, you're young adults. You have responsibilities. You made it this far. You got to college. We're going to give you as much support as we possibly can. But we also don't feel like we should have to sit there and watch you guys, do homework like you're little kids. And the reality is none of you need that. So particularly with our program. So it's just kind of a waste of time. So that's worked really well with us. And it's allowed our student athletes, the players on our team, to be able to do other things, work, tutor, make a little bit of money on the side tutoring, any of that type of stuff, which I think is a lot more fruitful than saying, I got to go to study table tonight, you know. So I would say on that front, what are some other dynamics that really attracted you to our program as opposed to some of the other schools you were looking at?
Well, Pittsburgh has always been like, I used to live in New Galley, which is like probably about 50 minutes from Pittsburgh, give or take. And Pittsburgh was always like the big exciting place you got to go, like if we were on a cool trip or anything like that. Like it's always just been like a special place for me in a way, because it was somewhere that I never got to visit often, but when I did, I absolutely loved it. So when I had visited Point Park the first time, I was like kind of in awe, because like I just love looking up at all the buildings, and it's like just so awesome as soon as I got to like the campus and everything like that. And another place I was looking at was Mount Union.
Good school,
And
yeah.
yeah, I love Mount Union. Their campus was beautiful. They're up in Alliance. It's a very nice area, everything like that. That's actually where my best friend is going now. And she, like their facilities are really nice. And that is one thing I've heard, like Point Park wise, like our facilities are like, we have our games at a different gym, which I don't have a problem with because everything else is perfectly okay with me. I mean, the facility.
I love our gym. I think it suits us really well, actually. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like the gym when I got in there. I watched the girls practice for a little bit, and I was like, this is a team that I want to be on.
Yeah.
It didn't matter like how good or bad the equipment was or anything like that. Like that does not matter to me. It's the location of where I was. I absolutely love the city, and it's the people that I want to be around, and they look like great teammates. And I'm like really excited to start practice and play with them next season.
Yeah, and we're really excited for this incoming class as well. You know, tell me a little bit about how you would describe yourself as a player. And, you know, for you, your senior year, I would say, was kind of your breakout year this year in a lot of ways. But, you know, what can Point Park Pioneer fans kind of expect from you over the next 4 years when you get an opportunity to get out on the court? You know, what are we going to see out of you?
I'm loud. I yell a lot, especially on defense, and many of my teammates can account for, I hope not to do this because this is a terrible habit, but like I will just yell at anyone, not even like mean things, just be like, oh, hey, watch this, but like it sounds mean just because I'm like in the moment and stuff like that. But you'll definitely hear my voice on defense for sure. I'll be in there with rebounds. I'll be going after loose balls. That's something that I pride myself on. Like I'm always on the ball when I can be. And right now I've been working on furthering my offensive game. So hopefully you can see some points from me too.
Yeah, and I think that will come in time. I think, you know, one of the hardest transitions for a lot of freshmen, not so much really for us last year. I mean, we started 3 freshmen last year, and obviously Taylor Wren was all-conference player. Taylor Kirshner, I would argue, also could have been an all-conference player. And then we obviously got a lot out of Taylor or Lexi Pettit, Sierra Sonetta. Some of those girls, they really did really well for us. So, you know, we don't really do the seniority dynamic. If you can, you know, play and help us, you're going to play. But I think a lot of girls coming into college, it's very much like high school. You have to kind of earn your stripes, and you know, have to kind of prove to the coaching staff, prove to the older girls on the team, why should you be out on the court? So, you know, this is obviously a difficult time in the history of Western civilization sports in all seriousness. What have you kind of been doing to kind of prepare yourself for the upcoming college transition at home?
Well, I've been keeping myself in shape. I have like body weight strength workouts that I do. I do a lot of HIIT workouts. I run on occasions, but my roads are very hilly, so it's very difficult. But I've been really trying to keep myself in shape, trying to eat right, but also I've been working a lot on my finishes in my driveway. I actually just painted a key on my driveway so I can get more of like mid-range pull-ups. work on my jab step. That's something that Coach Bailey and I have been talking about a lot, is footwork and then going to the rim, everything like that. And then hopefully once I get back in the gym, get myself a rebounder and stuff like that, I'm going to start pressing down on threes a lot more, because that's something I definitely need to work on for next season.
So tell me, have you been watching any of the series on the Chicago Bulls at all?
No, I haven't yet.
So I would definitely encourage you to watch it. I think it's been really an interesting series. For me, I think Jordan and some of those guys who, you guys weren't even born when those guys were playing in the finals, but just kind of getting an inside perspective on greatness and drive to compete. And I also think it's been interesting. They've had two guys that were, NAIA fantastic players in Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman that now are Hall of Fame players. It's been good for the NAIA nationally for people to see some of the caliber of guys that have kind of come out of our league, of our organization. So with that being said, what are some of your goals coming into Point Park personally, and then obviously for our team over the next 4 years for as you transition?
Well, I know this year my goal is to become a more confident offensive player, whether that be even just driving it and dishing out to someone else to shoot, but I tend to hold the ball and then pass it or just shoot the layup wherever I'm at. I'm focusing on getting the confidence to drive by that player because I have the footwork down, I have everything down. I'm just lacking the confidence to do so in a game. And that's one thing I'm looking forward to seeing if I can get that out of myself this season, which I'm probably going to be able to. And team-wise, I know this year playoffs were this close, but not quite there. And I'm really hoping that we make it to playoffs this year because I feel like that'd be a really cool opportunity.
Yeah. We've had Coach Krennic is coming up on 200 wins in his career. He's already the all-time winningest coach in the history of our program. Has been to 3 NAIA national tournaments, 3-time conference coach of the year. We've had 8 of our 9 seasons have been winning seasons. The only one being a losing season was actually not this past year, the year before, where we actually played probably the toughest Division II NAIA schedule in America. We played it was a brutal schedule, and we ended up still having a winning record in conference, making the playoffs. But this past year, we beat the eventual conference champions. We beat the team that played them in the conference championship. We beat the first, second, and fourth place teams on the west side of the conference. So we had a good year. We were 17-13. We were really happy with the youth and development we had this past year. We shot, I think we were top 15 in the country in shooting the 3-ball. And, we were one of the best teams in our conference. Now, the way it's set up in terms of taking the top 4 from each side didn't favor us. And I think our conference is looking at some other ways to do that. So the actual best 8 teams get in as opposed to just the top 4 teams on each side. But I think for the next 4 years, we should really be a team that's really competing year in and year out. To not just get to the playoffs in the River States Conference, but to obviously get an opportunity to play in the national tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I think you said there were 9 freshmen last season, something similar.
I want to say 10 actually. Yeah,
10?
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of strong freshmen coming up, and then the senior class is also really strong from what I've seen. I feel like next season is just going to be a really good season overall.
Yeah, obviously we return some really good players. Having Michelle Burns back, who's basically forming one of the all-time great careers by a Point Park University women's basketball player. 3-time first-team all-conference player. Maybe she was second-team her freshman year, but all-conference nonetheless. So we definitely have some really strong players coming back, and I think it's going to be competitive every single day for all you young ladies in practice. So it's not going to be, hey, I showed up, give me some playing time. I think every day is going to be a battle, and that was one of the things. We've been up front with you guys from day one. You're going to have to earn what you get in terms of playing time. You have a lot of people that want to work on your game with you. But, people have to take personal responsibility and try to get in the gym and do the best they can to develop.
It's definitely going to be a friendly competition. Jackie and I were talking about this the other day, that everyone's going to push each other to become better, and it's going to better us as a team overall. Playing time is very limited, and you have to push yourself and your teammates to get that playing time.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. So wrapping up, is there anybody you kind of want to give a shout out to in terms of getting you to where you're at, and some people that have kind of been along the way that, might not get the recognition that they probably should? But I know, one of the things I can say being a basketball trainer and working with a lot of kids is there's a lot of really good people that are sometimes in the background and don't really want the praise, and that's good, but I think sometimes, some of these people probably should get a little bit more recognition for all the hard work they do without pay or without really any desire other than to see a young person, fulfill their dreams.
Well, my AAU coaches, Quinn and Coach Bailey, they definitely helped tremendously with everything. I would not be a collegiate athlete without either of them helping me. And then I had an incredible support system throughout all of my years of basketball, including my senior year, even when times got tough. My best friend, Nay, my boyfriend, Jack, and my parents and Jesse, they all just really supported me even when I was having a tough time on the court. And I think that was really important to help me get to where I am right now. Yeah,
and I got an opportunity to talk to your AAU coaches, your high school coaches. I thought were fantastic guys as well, that were really hospitable and really spoke very highly of you. And obviously being the team captain, they put a lot of responsibility on you and a lot of trust. So it's very, apparent to me that you've had some really good people around you help you kind of get to where you're at. And I think that's, a lot of college athletes, that's kind of the name of the game. We don't get there ourselves. It's sometimes a big time community effort, a team effort. But it's also important to keep that circle small and make sure that you have the right people in that circle.
Definitely. There's definitely people that would try and take the spotlight had I let them help me in certain ways. But the people that I have around me, they know it's for me. And like Coach Bailey says all the time, I'm just trying to help you get where you need to be. There's no need to thank me. This is all you.
Right.
And it is all me, but it does take a village, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Tanner, I really appreciate you doing this for us. I think it's going to be kind of cool for Pioneer fans to kind of meet you guys away from the court and kind of get a preview of who you are as people, how you got to Point Park, and hopefully this also helps other young ladies, learn more about our program and some of the high caliber basketball players and people we have coming into our program and that are already there.
All right. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So we appreciate everybody taking a couple minutes to listen to this. To find out more about Point Park University athletics, you can go to pointparksports.com. We are also on Twitter at twitter.com/ Point Park WBB. And then we're also on Instagram at instagram.com/ PPUWBB. And I'll have all those graphics below here. So we'll see you guys next time. Go Pioneers.